On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Oklahoma City Thunder found a way to win over the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, the now #1 sports podcast network in the world, where it's your teams every day. I'm your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI.com, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO ThunderPod. On today's show, we're discussing the Thunder Timberwolves gritty, resilient win for Oklahoma City. Chet Holmgren bounces back in the fourth quarter. SGA drops 40, and the Thunder just keep on winning. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. This was going to be a fun game. We already knew as such yesterday when previewing this game. You know, it is a fully healthy Minnesota Timberwolves team. It is a Timberwolves team not only looking to make a statement because they're playing the champs and because they're playing the team that ousted them in the playoffs last year and the Western Conference Finals, but looking to make a statement because they have not won a game against the above 500 team yet this season. And the Thunder want to keep their winning streak alive, and they do keep it alive to 10 straight games, the longest streak in the NBA, as Detroit lost just before this game tipped off. But a fully healthy T-Wolves team. The Thunder do get Kenrich Williams back. SGA does get upgraded to available despite dealing with an illness, as you can tell, as am I. And Mark honestly sounded like he was too, suffering from a little head cold. But no Jalen Williams, no Aaron Wiggins, no Nikola Topic, no Thomas Swaber in this game. Ultimately, at the first stoppage of this game, OKC was 0 for 3 from 3. Minnesota had already made 3 triples. And the Timberwolves did a good job of controlling the glass in that stretch. That remained true the entire game for the most part. As a matter of fact, like in the last 5 minutes of the game, Minnesota goes 7 for 8 from 3 to get them back into it and to get this game into clutch time and have the chance to win it. And so this was a resilient game from the Thunder, who first had to close the first quarter on a 16-4 run to get up by 24-17 at the end of the first frame. In that quarter, they only allowed 2 paint points to Minnesota in the first quarter. That was another trend that remained consistent throughout the game. And I thought that when you looked at Oklahoma City, they forced a lot of situations where Minnesota went on stretches of multiple turnovers, offensive fouls, shot clock violation, ugly shot attempts. And they were stacking the stops consistently all game, but they could not consistently string together buckets and get themselves a comfortable lead. But they remained in the fight, and I thought that ultimately this was a defensive battle from both sides. Minnesota did a lot of good. They did a lot of good at the three-point line, outscoring OKC with plus 10 in the three-point make category, 17-7. They did a lot of good pushing the pace. And the Thunder have one of the best transition defenses in the league. I think the best transition defense in the league. But where Minnesota found success was not in true transition, but it was pushing the pace off of makes. These artificial transition opportunities is where they found that they could speed up the Thunder, get behind their defense, not let their defense get set. But in true transition, the Thunder continued to thrive, forcing some turnovers there. And then once the game settled into the half court on either end, frankly, both these defenses played really well, but especially Oklahoma City's. And Minnesota, just like we're talking about the Thunder being resilient, Minnesota erases a 10-point deficit in the third quarter by going on a 15-5 run of their own and being sparked by Anthony Edwards. And good for Anthony Edwards, who had a heck of a night, particularly after intermission, as a guy who has labored to score at times against this Thunder defense. But this game really boils down to the Thunder finding a way to win. Because if you just look at the numbers, and honestly, even if you just look at the eye test, this was not a game the Thunder should have won. They missed way too many bunnies at the rim. The Thunder shot 61% at the rim in the 25th percentile. The Thunder were in the 12th percentile on threes in this game as well. Like, they could not shoot at the rim. They could not shoot from three. The only place where they could find success offensively was in the mid-range, where they were in the 68th percentile, shooting 47%. They missed too many clean looks both at the rim and at three. But here's where they made it up. It's about the attention to detail. This was a game between one side who has championship experience, who has a culture of winning, who knows how to handle themselves, and another side that's undisciplined. I mean, it's just what it is. And I like Minnesota, and I like their players. But this was a coaching battle in a lot of ways today. And Chris Finch got dramatically outcoached. And Minnesota did not help their coach by failing to execute details. You outshot and outmade a team by 10 threes from distance, and you lost. You held the team to 61% shooting at the rim, and you lost. You get a 5-second call coming out of a timeout with a timeout in hand. This is hand in hand. This play has a little bit of all three of them involved. Great job by the Thunder to deny the ball and not allow them to get the ball in out of a timeout on an ATO. Poor execution by the Timberwolves players to not have an internal clock. Poor job by Chris Finch to not call that timeout that you have still with you. They're not rollover minutes. You can't take that with you after the game. So they end this game on that play. Like, after the 5-second call, it was over with. Because here's the other big detail that separated these teams today. Free throws. The Thunder made the plays on both ends. They hit timely shots in the clutch time, and they made their free throws. Meanwhile, Minnesota in clutch time, they were not the first to the glass. They couldn't get the ball in. They couldn't make the free throws. Couldn't stack enough stops. And that's the difference. You played all those first 40 minutes, and it ultimately boiled down to that. And if you're Chris Finch today, that's inexcusable. If you're in Minnesota today, this has got to be frustrating. Because if you would have laid out this game plan heading into last night, that the Thunder would shoot poorly from three, they'd shoot poorly at the rim, Minnesota would win the rebounding battle in totality, and yet you'd still lose in the clutch after Anthony Edwards did what he did, you'd be beside yourself. And then to see it play out this way with Chris Finch being the one who refused to call the timeout and instead get you a 5-second call, which leads to free throws. It's brutal. It's brutal. Thunder win 113-105, 5 lead changes, 7 ties. OKC's biggest lead was 12. Minnesota was 5. Minnesota won the rebounding battle 60-54, but they turned it over 14 times. OKC only turns it over 7 times. The Thunder dominate in the paint despite so poor shooting at the rim, 50-28. Minnesota, though, dominates in second chance points, 12-5. OKC dominates in fast break points, 14-8. The Thunder shot 46, 26, 78 shooting splits. And so the difference here, Thunder shot better from the floor overall because of their mid-range, 46 from the floor. Minnesota, 41 from the floor. Minnesota laps OKC from three, 46% to 26%. And OKC dominates Minnesota in terms of capitalizing at the line, 78% to 59%, which is bad. And ultimately loses Minnesota the game. Because you hit 10 more threes. You had 6 players in double figures. OKC only had 4. Terrence Shannon Jr. was awesome. Didn't close with him. Anthony Edwards had a really good second half. I think his best scoring effort as a member of the Timberwolves against this version of the Thunder's defense. And yet OKC kept Julius Randle inefficient, and still Minnesota almost was able to win. But that's how crazy this team is. That's a testament to this Thunder roster. The fact that we just laid all of that out for you, and that was to simply give Minnesota a chance to win. Not give them the win, not give them a narrow win, or not give them a blowout win, but to simply give them the opportunity to win. This is what had to happen. A fully healthy Minnesota team against a Thunder team without J-Dub, without Aaron Wiggins. This is what had to happen to just get this game simply into clutch time. That's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy thing that this team's able to do, where they're able to come alive and just make the right plays and just find ways to win. Find wins that are honestly at times inexplainable and inexcusable losses for the other side. Like, think of what you would feel like right now if the shoe was on the other foot and this game played out the exact same way, but the Thunder were the Timberwolves. I mean, I know how you'd react. I saw what you did all throughout every playoff loss. But this team finds a way to win these games. This team finds a way to continue to have the next man up mentality. And it's been impressive. It's been impressive. Coming up, let's talk SGA. Let's talk Chet Holmgren. Let's talk the rest of this roster. But first, I want to say right now, my good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today because FanDuel is awesome, folks. You want to go there right now and check them out because the NFL is here on Thursday for Thanksgiving. The NBA is in full swing on Friday for the NBA Cup action, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next fourth quarter comeback bucket to who will win the game while you're watching it live. You can bet on these live games and combine them into the same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel gives new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up today with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and you can go there right now and not just bet on spreads. You can also bet on player props and future odds of who's going to win future awards. But the Thunder Suns pivotal game in the NBA Cup, Thunder 14.5 favorites over Phoenix. Go check it out today at FanDuel.com. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Let's dive into SGA's game in this one. What a flu game for him. We're having a bad flu pod. He'd had a great flu game. Got to the mid-range with a nice pull-up to start this one early, and this was a game that very quickly felt like the Thunder would need Shay to score more offensively, would need Shay to drive the bus as a scorer, and it felt like a game in which he had full license to take it over and to take any shot he wanted, even bad shots, and in a game in which his teammates didn't give them a single reason, frankly, to trust them in this moment in this game. He never put the blinders on. He continued to make the right play, make the right pass, even when he was the only one who could score. And the lesson from that is rooted in Chet's performance. Because Shay kept making the right decision, kept giving what the defense was giving him, and taking what the defense was giving him. While it looked bad offensively as a process, it looked bad offensively as a product, it looked bad offensively as a production, eventually the tide turned. Eventually, a guy like Chet Holmgren cashed in for him. And Shay consistently playing the right way, I think, is infectious with his teammates still believing that they can have the confidence to have that fourth quarter like Chet did. And we'll talk about Chet in totality in a second. But the differences from a guy who continues to play the right way and doesn't just say, you know what, it's not your night tonight, it's my night, I'm just going to do my thing when I'm on the court, and still deferring to the open man is huge for long-term success. And eventually, like tonight, when he found Lou and found Cason Wallace for back-to-back triples to steady things in a shaky third quarter. Again, the third quarter kind of felt like after that Timberwolves 15-5 run, and they tied the game and they took the lead, it kind of felt like things were hanging in the balance here. That this was one of the rare games this year where even the Paycom Center crowd didn't really know how it was going to play out. Didn't really know how the Thunder would get out of this one because of the bad shots in the paint, the bad shots from three, in the sense of high shot quality looks in those situations, but bad percentages and bad makes. And Shay was the only one who felt like he could score, him and AJ Mitchell. And to still be deferring to Lou, who ends up 1 for 7, and deferring to Cason in that moment, I thought showed great maturity from Shai, and he was rewarded for it because those 2 threes were timely. While those 2 guys did not have massive box scores, without those 2 threes set up by Shai, this game looks a lot different. But he was able to slither to the rim on the offensive end. Whenever you look at his offensive game, it was a lot in the mid-range. It was a lot of taking these step backs at the elbow to shake off Jalen Clark. I think that he really found his scoring stride at the end of the second quarter. And from the end of the second quarter onward, he was incredible. The turnaround mid-range shot that he hit that touched the Nick Collison jersey and then fell in to extend his 20-point streak, where all he and Anthony Edwards could do was laugh at the fact that shot went in. Attacking downhill in transition, getting the foul, step back midi over Julius Randle to execute the 2-for-1. Like, he had some big swings in this game. But I thought that the efficiency tonight was even more eye-popping whenever you consider that Minnesota, their 2 point of attack defenders in Jalen Clark and in Terrence Shannon Jr., they had found success against Shai last regular season. And so this was like not only a statement game from the Timberwolves as a team, but I think that for these 2 young guys in particular, because Minnesota, of course, let Nickeil Alexander walk this offseason. And whenever you look at walking and who Minnesota was having to elevate in Jalen Clark and in Terrence Shannon Jr., Nas having the start to the season that he's having, and these 2 guys are having the start to the season that they're having. And this would have been a big moment for them to once again find some success, relative to what the word success means when defending Shai, but have some success against Shai. Instead, Shai drops 40 points, and not just 40 points. He does it on 63% shooting from the floor, 75% true shooting percentage, 1 for 2 from 3, 15 for 17 at the free throw line, plus 12 in this game, 40 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, 3 steals, active on defense, and comes through in the clutch as a passer and a scorer, setting up the Thunder for success. And he set up Chet Holmgren for success as well. Because let's be honest about what Chet's night was. Forgettable for most of it. Step slow, sluggish, offensively. Defensively, he was not his usual self. Like, even defensively, he struggled in this game. And it just felt like it was not his night. Now, he did consistently throughout the night make good reads as a passer. He had the entry pass from Shai and parlayed that into a dump-off pass to iHeart on a cut. He kicked it out to J-Will for a wide-open 3 off of a situation where he was driving into the paint. J-Will wide open for 3. The shot hits every part of the rim and rattles out, but that was a good pass by Chet. But the game flipped for him in the fourth quarter, where he fought for 2 loose balls, diving on the deck to get them. And that level of engagement and effort and hustle in the midst of your own individual struggle, I thought was good to see from Chet. He nailed 2 clutch free throws that he got by rebounding a critical 0 for 2 trip at the line from Rudy Gobert. Being able to get that rebound was big. Hitting the free throws was just as big. Anthony Edwards, though, goes right down the floor, knocks in a 3, and you're thinking, okay, here we go again. Like, you just thought you had a huge relief from Rudy going 0 for 2 and Chet going 2 for 2. Now it's back to a 1-point game. Chet comes back down, answers it with 3 of his own in the corner. And just playing the game divorced from the stat sheet, divorced from the scoreboard, divorced from the moment. That's hard to do. Especially whenever you're following up a bad game individually with another bad game individually. Because he has not had his shot for a couple of games now. He's not had the offensive success that he wanted for a couple of games now. And now you're in the midst of the fourth quarter on national television. The game's not gone your way individually. And yet, you're making the right reads as a passer. You're diving for loose balls. You're gutting it out defensively. You're gutting it out on the glass. You're taking good shots and high-quality shots. He's never forcing the issue. I think that even the shot that looked the worst aesthetically, where he was in the mid-paint, turns around, throws up a fadeaway over Rudy, and he airballed. I think that Rudy probably deflected it, obviously, because of the trajectory of the ball. But even that is a shot that you want Chet hitting and taking, and a shot that we've praised him for making more often than not this season. So it's like every decision he made on the floor tonight was still a good one. And in the fourth quarter, it finally paid off for him. In the fourth quarter, it finally paid off. Not just scoring the ball, but that decision that he made to pass to Lou to not let Minnesota foul. It takes more time off the clock. Lou scores it at the rim on the easy layup, and it truly ends the game. So think of this night for Chet to really put that into context of numbers. He finishes with 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 2 for 4 from 3, and just 33% from the floor. 12 points on 12 shots is not ideal. However, in the fourth quarter alone, he had 10 of those points. He shot 3 for 4. He went 2 for 3 from deep and 2 for 2 at the free throw line while having 4 rebounds and an assist. Like, that's a heck of a night from Chet. And that's a heck of a fourth quarter from Chet. And that's about resiliency. And that's about what this game embodied. For some of the stretches, the game didn't go the Thunder's way. For some of the stretches, the game didn't go Chet's way. But they did stay true to their identity. And that identity eventually won out. That identity eventually got them where they needed to be. So that's where it is with Shay and Chet. Coming up, let's talk more about this game. But first, I want to say right now, big friends over at DoorDash, go check out DoorDash today because DoorDash is incredible. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating something that they call the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 or more points in a game, bag drop with DoorDash has dropping the prices 50% off your order with DoorDash the next day. You're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip. We're talking exclusive gear. We're talking stuff you actually want. And DoorDash has you covered for late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, double overtime fuel ups. So the next time someone goes for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. DoorDash Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms and conditions apply. Again, no purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Go check them out today. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Here talking about the Thunder's resilient win over the Timberwolves. I think that Jay Will deserves credit for this game. You know, he came in and like this team, we mentioned it, 0 for 3 from 3 to start the game, and they're falling behind, and Mark calls the timeout at the first mandatory timeout, and is trying to find a spark. And Jay Will was the first player off the bench, and he came in this game. He finds Cason Wallace cutting from the top of the key, and then that was a great pass individually, and that's just like kind of what he's been doing. He's been a good playmaker, and I think that he's gotten a little bit better as a playmaker this year, but he's already been a good playmaker. But the DHO denial turning into an off-the-dribble drive to the rim and finish in traffic to take the lead, that's what we've seen iHeart add to his game this year, and add to his game in a Thunder context. He had done this before with New York, but now he's like kind of more comfortable and aggressive with the Thunder. And now seeing Jay Will do it, like you want to see this stuff get incorporated more from these two guys, because Jay Will also kept himself available as a roller in this game more than he typically has. And this has been a very small sample size. He's been rolling more about, since like Friday, and it's been rolling more to the rim instead of just exclusively popping. And I want to see that try to continue for him because it can end up getting him trips to the free throw line. And of course, ideally easy buckets at the rim. And the old adage, like if you see one go in, you're more likely to get going as an offensive player. And for a streaky shooter like this, and for a guy who relies on the 3-point shot, getting him going early, with his ability to try to attack off the catch, try to do it off of DHO denials and dribbling into the rim, trying to do it as a roller off of screens, like that could be an interesting way to try to squeeze more out of him offensively. Because as you've seen, throughout this season, his overall offensive impact is rooted in playmaking and threes, and the threes are really boom or bust. Literally, I mean, his celebration is boom, but literally boom or bust. Of like some nights, like that afternoon against New Orleans, he'll be on fire. Some nights he'll be over, and you just kind of have to see what the game entails. But if he's able to do this stuff and parlay his gravity as a playmaker, because you're focused so much on trying to deny the ball to the guard that you leave the paint open, and you can parlay that into some easy points at the rim, then it can really let him elevate himself as an offensive weapon. He ends up, though, this was a great game from him. He ends up with 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, plus 9 off the bench, woke this team up. And I think that for the standard of what J. Will is, for the role of what he plays, I thought this was a great game for him because he was able to dive into the stands again, get a loose ball foul call. Like that was just a heart and effort play that you saw him do against Utah as well. But he was really active defensively tonight. He really bodied up Randall in the paint, didn't try to just bail out and get charges. He really stuck his chest into Julius Randle and did a great job defending him. And his contests on the perimeter were also really good for J. Will. So this was a nice game from J. Will. AJ Mitchell had great creation tonight. I thought that the biggest standout from his game was the change of gears that he showed tonight, which allowed him to get to his spots smoother in this one. He had that nice floater in the lane, which was much needed after the Lou Dort loose ball foul, which surrendered a 4-point play against OKC. Nice change of pace, like we mentioned. Took the contact from Tante DiVincenzo. No foul on the play, but it was a hard contact, took a hard fall, and he made it. He got up and just stared right at Dante DiVincenzo. I just kind of love the kind of fiery sense that he's played with over the last 3 games. We've mentioned that on a few pods now. And it's just kind of a new wrinkle to who he is. And I think that might be a correlation to how confident he is now, how comfortable he is now in his role. After getting fouled, he goes right back to the rim. And after not getting fouled on the foul call with Dante, goes right back to the rim and gets the foul call for 2 free throws, 13 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 55% from the floor, plus 15. iHeart did the dirty work tonight, as always. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 3 for 6 at the line, 60% from the floor. The physicality was a requirement today. This was a really physical game, and iHeart was the one who set the tone as a physical player, as a banging bodies down low. And I think that he kind of showed everyone what was going to be required, especially when we talk about early on how it felt like Minnesota controlled the paint. And then after that first mandatory timeout, it never felt that way again. I think that iHeart is the guy who flips that switch for this team. He had that reverse putback dunk, which was crazy. And it got some thumbs up from the bench of a nice play and a nice dunk. They're really harsh judges, folks, on what's a nice dunk. So the fact he got a thumbs up was great on that reverse putback dunk. And he talked about that post game about how gracious he was to get the thumbs up. Casey Wallace remains active as an off-ball player, but really attacking in transition. I think that this is a part of his game that we've seen grow from him. Not, hear me out now, not as a transition scorer. He's always been a really good transition scorer, but I think as a transition decision maker, he's more comfortable with the ball in his hands and not just always looking to score. He can make the next pass as well to take advantage of a 3-on-1 scenario, 2-on-1 scenario. But he made some impactful plays today. Obviously, you want to see the 3-point shot fall for him. Some of them went in and out, and that's just kind of a tough day in the office. 1 for 4 from 3 overall, 57% from the floor, 2 steals, including one that hit ahead to Shay, where Shay got the lead for the final time in the fourth quarter. That's all the Thunder needed to eventually cling on to that one. So Kaysen made an impact. I think that Kenrich Williams had a very loud 0-point night. Like, he did not score in his first game back. He gets a standing ovation as he checks in for the first time, but he did a great job on the glass in his limited minutes. 4 rebounds, an assist, putting bodies on guys in the paint, contesting shots at the rim, making the extra pass, just doing the Kenrich Williams things. And in the fourth quarter, he also got Chet going with a nice entry pass over the top to let Chet seal off his defender and have a clear lane to the basket. Great pass by Kenny on that 1 assist, 4 rebounds for Kenrich Williams. Lou Dort didn't have his fastball offensively, and a lot of that is just he had a tough night from 3, 1 for 7 from beyond the arc for Lou Dort. And you want to see him make those shots. Obviously, he wants to see himself make those shots. But the thing about the Thunder's 3-point shooting night tonight was that they were high quality looks for the most part, and a lot of them felt like they were going in. They just didn't fall. And given the equity that they've built up, the ability to bounce back throughout this season, but the equity that they've built up in the last 10 games where they've been shooting the ball really well from 3, you feel confident that this was kind of a blip on the radar after what's been a cold start for them in October from 3, dead last in the NBA from 3 in October. But in November, they've shot the ball really, really well. they've already climbed at least 10 spots percentage-wise from three for this team. So I think that they're going to get back on track against Phoenix, but they continue to find a way to win even without their three-point shot tonight. And of course, with Lou, that's his biggest way to impact the game offensively. But still, defensively, you always love what Lou Dort brings. Here's what's going on with Lockdown Thunder. I'm still battling. It's not an illness. I mean, I feel perfectly fine. I just sound horrific. I sound dreadful. I don't know how anyone's listening to this right now. But I appreciate those of you that are. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving. Speaking of Thanksgiving, today on Thursday at 3 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. Central Time, I have another show to do with Jeremy Lamb and Tyler Jones with our Lockdown Thunder Squad show. Friday, you'll get a podcast with myself and Joe Mazzato on contenders of the NBA. We've already recorded that one, and that one is going to go live at midnight. So Friday, Black Friday, make sure you listen to that while you do your shopping. And then right after the game Friday night, which is probably going to be Saturday morning because that game doesn't even tip off until 8:30, we'll have the Suns recap for you. So still 3 pods to go this week, and we already have plenty out there, including our first squad show of the week on Tuesday, our live show with Derek Parker on Monday. We had, of course, our Blazers recap. We had Justin Martinez on the show yesterday, Michael Martin on the show the day before that, our live show with Derek Parker on Monday. So we have already out there a ton of content for you. Go listen to it wherever you get your podcast from. I appreciate all of you who take the time to listen to this show. You every dares make this show work, make this show grow, and make this podcast network and this show what it is. So I appreciate every single one of you, especially those of you that have gutted out this week of me sounding horrific. Hopefully I sound less horrific and just back to my normal bad voice self pretty soon. But thank you to everyone who saw me at the game today. And, we're able to catch up with me today at the game. It's a lot of fun. Love whenever you guys are there and able to come say what's up. Thank you again for listening. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you were able to find some time to sneak away and listen to this show. If not, no big deal. I understand. Until next time, be good and be good to one another.